Hi, everybody. Um, so this is a informational meeting about our plans for the spring semester. As you have found out in the last couple of days about more specific schedule about the spring semester. And unfortunately, what I'm going to share in this meeting is still dependent upon many things. It is still possible that all of this will change depending on a number of different things, right? So one of which is how bad the cases are, whether we are in person. But let's assume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the plan that I have, and we're going to do a lot of assumptions because in many ways, as I had to respond in August, July and August, making assumptions, and at that point, I had to make plans for three different ways of responding to what Cornell was going to respond. So it wasn't actually, I didn't even know what the schedule was going to be until Cornell finally released the spring schedule in terms of wellness days. So none of that information was communicated well in advance to the faculty. So, in fact, if you don't know already, there isn't a spring break, but there are four wellness days peppered throughout the semester. So I'll talk about that as well, how that affects the plan for the orchestras. We're gonna so classes will begin. Let me share a document with you so that you have some sense of. And I will share this document as well to the orchestra and whoever wants it so that you can have it in writing. And then what's going to happen in terms of the updates, this is going to be updated as you see here. And then I will also update the website as plans are going along. Okay, so through the November break, through December, and in fact, at 5:30, I have to jump off to another meeting with the facility person to get clarification about rules about Bailey Hall. So one of the things I want to say is that it has been really frustrating to deal with trying to get information so that we can actually make plans. So as I said before, many of these will change, and these are making a lot of assumptions. So in the spring semester, we'll have a hybrid teaching plan, assuming that we're in person mode, and there'll be three courses offered for orchestra members. There will be 3621, which is CSO. There's 4621, which is CCO, and there's 4121, which is advanced conducting. So CSO and CCO will go into three phases of teaching. So it'll consist of three periods. So the first period is February 8 to March 4, where for 4 weeks we will have four speakers. We have booked three out of the four so far. Titus Underwood, who is a principal oboist of the Nashville Symphony. Garrett McQueen, who is a radio personality in NPR, who was fired for programming out of basically programming non-Western white composers. So I'll be talking about that. And Edward Yim, who is one of the few Asian American administrators. He was part of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, New York Philharmonic, and now he's heading up the WQXR classical music station in New York City. So we'll be engaging with them the first 4 weeks of classes. So February 8 to March 4, instead of having regular rehearsals for CSO and CCO, both members of CSO and CCO will be meeting on Wednesdays, much the way we have continued in the fall. And we will meet and engage with four speakers. So that'll be the first period. The second period will be March 8 to March 25, which includes the March 9 and 10 wellness days where we don't have classes on those days. And we'll enter a period of online sectional rehearsals, which means we'll be meeting at the regular rehearsal time, but a reduced time. And then this is sort of the map of the schedule for CCO, where we'll have online sectionals on Tuesday and Thursdays, but with each section. So on Thursday, March 11, we'll have our first violin sectional for an hour and so forth. And then CSO will have these sectional times. And that includes the March 10 Wellness Day. So on that day, of course, we don't have rehearsals. And then the third period will be our in-person rehearsal with both CCO and CSO. And that includes the period of April 23rd and April 26th for wellness days that are no classes. And so on these days, we're still trying to get clearance about a few things, but the rehearsal location will be B20 and B21. And we have to use this rotational schedule where we rehearse in B21. And then after a 45-minute, or we set up B21, and then 5 to 5:45, there is a rehearsal. And then we have to move from that room over to B20. And so there's a 15-minute setup and then a 45-minute rehearsal period. So even though it's 2-hour block, we actually only get 2 45-minute in-person rehearsal session. And there is also a limitation put on B20 and B21 and how many people can be in those rooms. Wind and brass and choral singing is not allowed at all indoors. So much the same way Paul Merrill and the jazz combos have set up this system called Dante music system, which allows for very low latency in real-time collaboration. The wind players will be isolated in 16 rooms. Currently, the Dante system is set up in 3 rooms, including my office, Paul's office, and one more room. But we're going to expand that to include 16 rooms so that we can put wind player in each of the rooms so that they're completely isolated by themselves, and then they're joining B21 or B20 on this Dante system. And mind you, also in B20 and B20, there is a limitation in the number of people that can be social distance. So that one of the meetings I have upcoming is actually trying to figure out what that exact number of players is. So CCO in-person rehearsal will look like this, beginning Tuesday, March 30, sort of our regular time slots. The location is to be determined, and there will be an update whether we'll be in Barnes or B20. So there's a big question mark as to the location for CCO on Tuesday and Thursdays. Okay, so we will enter this period of rehearsals on Tuesday and Thursdays. And then normally on Tuesday, it'll be 4:45 to 6:15. But the final Tuesday before the concert, it'll be a 2-hour rehearsal. And then Saturday, May 1st is a dress rehearsal, and Sunday, May 2 at 3 p.m. will be the performance. And location is also to be determined. And then CSO would meet on Monday and Wednesdays. There will be no rehearsal on Monday, April 26th. And then we would rehearse in this manner. Actually, as I go through this, this time frame, because of the B20 sort of rotation schedule, it'll actually have to be 4:45 to 6:45. So I'll update that and this as well. So because we only actually have 2 45-minute periods, so I will update that. And then the performance for CSO will be dress rehearsal on May 8, Saturday, and then Sunday 3 p.m. performance on May 9. I put the repertoire on there, but this is probably going to change. And then also there is the third period or fourth period of activities where we'll have in-person rehearsals in B20 to audition conductor candidates. Okay, so because there is limitation on the number of wind players indoors, and there's a problem with the tents being set up in the art squad. In the same way the band was using the tents in the art squad in September and early part of October, my proposal is to set up the tents so that we can start to have in-person rehearsal outside in the quad under the tents, starting perhaps from mid-April on. But one of the snags is that facilities is unwilling to put up the tents because, as you know, sometimes it snows here in April in Ithaca, and sometimes it snows as late April. So they're not willing to put up the tents as of right now, I'm still in negotiation with them because they're afraid of the damage to the tents they would set up in case of snow. So that puts a pretty big kink in my plan to be in person with everybody, because my hope was that we would have the tents, and at least from mid-April on, with the heaters on, we could have in-person full orchestra, Florence Price Symphony No. 4 in rehearsal with winds and brass and everybody, social distancing. But that's under negotiation, and I'll be working through. But I won't get answer to what the exact number of people that we're allowed to have in the orchestra. So that number is a to be determined number, and that's one of the frustrating part of this equation where I don't know why Anna's hang on. So that's one of the frustrating part of trying to plan for repertoire, because without knowing exactly how many members can be in the orchestra in terms of not just the instruments, but number of instruments for the string players, whether winds and brass can be part of it. So a lot of things are up in the air. So the document has my proposed repertoire, but most likely this repertoire will need some finagling and changes. And I don't know exactly what that is. So for right now, the CSO is planning a string orchestra piece by George Walker, a lyric for strings, which is a beautiful piece. I'm in negotiations with Jessie Montgomery to identify two of her string orchestra pieces. And actually, she has another piece that involves winds. So if I get clearance, we may try to have winds, a piece that involves winds as well, winds and percussion actually. And then Carlos Simon has a Portrait of a Queen, which is a strings, piano, percussion piece, beautiful piece. And then I'm working on an arrangement of the Adoration for string orchestra by Florence Price. So that'll be the program for chamber orchestra as it stands now. And please understand that may change. For CSO, we have the following pieces. And this is the part where probably the Tekeli, Rest for String, and Adolphus Hailstork's Sonata de Chiesa for string orchestra. These two probably will be happening. What is unknown is these two pieces. There's a violin concerto number 1 with Daniel Bernard that Daniel Bernard Romain has written. My hope is that first of all, we can do the piece because we can get the Dante system set up, and then we can do that. And then I'm also hoping to have him as soloist, but of course that is contingent upon the university allowing outside guests to come and visit Cornell. So if that can't be done in terms of Daniel not being able to come to Cornell to be a soloist, then I may have to find a different piece by Daniel. In terms of Florence Price's Symphony No. 4, this would be the exact instrumentation of wind players that I can accommodate. So 3 flutists, 1 doubling on piccolo, 2 oboe, 1 doubling on English horn, 2 clarinet, and a separate bass clarinetist, 2 bassoons, 4 horns, 3 trumpets, 3 trombones, and 1 timpani, 2 percussion, and there should be a comma there, celesta, harp, strings. Okay, so, but that is dependent upon us being able to use the Dante system with the expansion to 16 rooms and being able to accommodate at least some portion of April in where we can all rehearse. So in terms of the CSO rehearsals, some of these may involve partial string orchestra because of the, where, for example, you might have just the inside stands on that Monday rehearsal of the string section. So we can fit in whatever the number that is, that's going to be adjusted. Currently it's 22. Of course, we have many more string players than 22 in the orchestra. But if I can only get the number up to, let's say, 33 or 35, because I asked Jamie to measure the room, and I kind of mapped out with 6-foot social distancing, and I figured out we could put in maximum of 35 people in B20. So, but even then, that's only partial orchestra. So we may have to split these rehearsals where something like inside stands do odd number rehearsals, outside stands do even number rehearsals, something like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share this document with you so you have it, and it'll be updated constantly, as well as this website in terms of our current repertoire page. So that'll look for updates on that page. Another thing that we're going to be hosting is, instead of our usual concerto competition, is our first annual festival of solo repertoire by underrepresented composers on March 7, Sunday, March 7. So we have 3 artists, Daniel Bonar Romain, Rachel Parton Pine, Aaron Dworkin, who are willing to coach people. So you're supposed to pick a piece by an underrepresented composer, and this can be a BIPOC composer, Asian composer, Native American composer, Latinx, LGBTQ, whatever. And so we have a document here that I've started to add things to. So this is where you can find a composer or a work by an underrepresented composers. And if you find something that you want to add to this, I would encourage you to add to this as well. Okay. So the idea is that you pick a work by an underrepresented composer by December 11, and then you work on it. And then you send a video of that rehearsal of yourself to one of our 3 artists by February. And then they'll give you feedback. And then with the feedback, you will either make a video, which will be live streamed on March 7, or we'll set up a live stream venue where you can perform it live on March 7. And most likely that'll be Lincoln Hall, if not Bailey Hall. Okay. So I would really encourage people to take part in that. But here's a link to the application. So that'll all go in the chat. So the application looks like that. Okay. I will put all of these resources as a link back to you so that you have access to these. Okay. I have to get off the call at 2:30. So I'm going to open it up to the floors for any questions. You can use your raise your hand feature if you have questions. And Geneva.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a question, but I couldn't find like the little like emoticon. Okay. So I was wondering like how auditions would work. So I wasn't able to be in like the orchestra classes like this semester because of my schedule.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did audition last semester and like was in the orchestra. So like how is that going to work?
Yeah. So I should have done that in the share. So I'll share the screen again. They're currently on the website. If you click on go to the auditions page, I've updated this. There's a new audition form. It's really important that you complete the audition form so that I know you're going to take part in the orchestra. I can't emphasize that enough. If I don't know your plans, then I can't make plan for you. All right. So once you set up an audition, complete the audition form, then your only option is to send in a video of the audition. And we're going to make the deadline a week before. So January 25, 2021 will be the deadline for you to submit the audition. And what I'm going to do is here, pretty much this is what I'm going to ask of you. If you don't have anything to play, you can choose one of these excerpts down here for your instrument, but these are not required. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to send that in by January 25 so that we have at least a week for our applied faculty to look at your videos and give me feedback. Now, for string players, it's going to be pretty lax in terms of because I can add you to the section. But in terms of wind players, I'm going to limit it to the instrumentation of the Florence Prize Fourth Symphony, meaning double winds, 4 horns, and 3 percussion, 2 keyboard players. Okay.
So does that mean that we should complete like a new audition from the one that we did at the beginning of last semester to submit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be lovely to see your faces. Thank you, Sage. Um, any more questions?
This is not like an orchestra question, but we're so you mentioned we're auditioning like conductors like at the end of the year. I was not aware of this because, as you know, I'm not an orchestra. So are you not staying on as conductor next year?
Yeah, this is my last year at Cornell.
Okay. That's sad, but also I hope that you're moving on to somewhere that's good.
Yeah, I mean, so this is not the conversation I want to have at this forum, but
Yeah,
um, basically, I've been commuting and trying to figure out a way my family can be together in one place, and so uh, I'm trying to honor my partner in terms of what she needs in terms of support. Um,
right,
so as much as I loved teaching at Cornell and loved my position, um, our next chapter has opened.
right.
Yeah.
I'm glad for you.
Chris, sorry, I
Yeah.
don't have a raise your hand function because I'm a
Oh,
co-host, but I was wondering, will the notes that you showed us be sent out
yes,
after?
I'll be sending that. Yeah, so I'll send it to the listserv for both to the Canvas site, which is already sent out, and then to also the CSO and CCO listserv. That cat is so cute.
We just adopted 2 cats yesterday.
Oh my
so
goodness.
This one is Tofu, and then Truffle is hiding somewhere else.
Oh my God, that's the best cat name.
Yeah, when
He's
I was in
gotten
high school,
accustomed really
I had
quickly.
a cat that looked very similar to that, and everybody called him a cow because he was white and
Aww,
black, and he acted like he was a dog. So he was like the best cat ever. He would
so
pet
cute.
everything.
Oh my God, I hear it purring. Oh my God,
Really?
I'm gonna die. Oh.
He's so loud. You're so noisy.
Oh, such a good cat.
This is the most solid question answer session I've ever had, guys.
All right. If you're too shy to ask questions, you can send me an email, and I'll probably have another update as when I get more updates from talking to facilities. Just know that all of the plans that I've laid out is assuming a lot of things, right? So it's up to change, it's up to revision, and in response to whatever answers I get or I don't get from administration. So I will do my best to update it via the document and the website. And if there are really significant changes, then I'll probably call another town hall meeting so that I can give you more information. Okay. All right. Stay safe, everybody, and please rest and stay sane through this time. Okay.
Thanks so much, Chris. You're the absolute best, and we love you.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything.
Thanks, Chris.